I'm Dana Denha, and you're watching FYI. CTN collaborated once again with All About Ann Arbor during the A4 Summer Photo Challenge. Here are the top picks. Stay tuned, and we'll be back with more in exactly 30 seconds. Swimming pools are closing, but there's one last chance to splash for the dogs. Check out the city's annual Dog Swim next.
Burr Park Pool went full canine during the 14th annual Dog Swim.
We're here for the dog swim today. We come out every single year after the pool closes. It's my dog's favorite day of the year. He loves to swim, loves to chase around the other dogs.
We had a lot of people request dog swim, and we thought it would be a good idea after it's closed to humans, to at least before we drain the pools, to let the dogs swim for a couple days.
We took our dog to the pool here today so she could cool down and become a little bit more social since she's just a puppy.
With tails wagging, Dog Swim is like a pooch yappy hour.
My dog goes crazy the entire time that we're driving here when he knows that we're coming here, because he sees the towels in the car. And then when we get here, he can't wait to get out here, and he's progressed from needing to be coaxed into the water to flying in with reckless abandon after a tennis ball.
I think her favorite part was probably just running around in the pool and then just cooling off, I guess, because it's a hot day, and then meeting some new dogs.
It's a great community time for you to bring your dog. A lot of people who enjoy the dog parks around the city. This is kind of a unique event for them. They can get in the pool, socialize with other dogs.
School bells are ringing, and that means safety on our roads is a priority. Between school buses, crosswalks, and the influx of pedestrians, our roadways can get congested fast. Learn more about back to school safety in this month's City Roundup in 60.
Hi everyone, I'm Officer Jamie Atkins with the Ann Arbor Police Department. It's that time of year again. It's time for kids to go back to school. Here are some basic traffic safety tips we should all remember. First of all, be alert, especially when you're in school zones, and be alert of the speed and make sure you obey that speed limit. Also, watch for school buses. Red flashing lights and an extended stop arm mean that that bus is stopping to load or unload children. We have 19 different locations across the city that are staffed with crossing guards. They help cross our children and get them safely to school. If you see a crossing guard in the intersection with their stop sign held up, make sure you stop and wait until that crossing guard has cleared out of the intersection. Don't block crosswalks. If you're stopped at a red light, waiting to turn, or looking for a parking space, make sure that you steer clear of the crosswalk so that people don't have to walk around your vehicle and possibly put themselves into moving traffic. Remember, folks, it's our job to keep kids safe as we go back to school this fall. Thanks everybody for watching, and parents, I hope you have a great and safe start to your school year.
Knuckle Sandwich Studios is the home for friends and creative duo Drew Hopper and James Barbatano. These two are riding the superhero genre wave as it takes over screens small and wide all over the world. Their series, If We Had Superpowers, explores the way these powers can negatively affect our lives for those with otherworldly abilities and those surrounding them. Joining me is Drew and James, co-founders of Knuckle Sandwich Studios. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hello, how's it going?
So we've seen some of your work on CTN in the past. You had season 1 of If We Had Superpowers. I want to know a little bit about you guys though before we delve into this show, because you guys have like a catalog of shows under your belts.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about, Drew and James, how you guys came together and why you guys wanted to create videos together.
So James and I met back in the year of 2010. It was so James was at another school at the time, and James and I both met at a center called the Jetson Center, and there we reunited. I was very excited to meet James, and I was always very excited to kind of just jump into some of the things that he was doing. I was very much a copycat at that time. I was like, James, I love the stuff you're doing. I want to use your talents. And so it was a very fun opportunity, and from there on out, just from 2009, 2010, I think we've just been really creative. We've been the creative duo, and we've created a series of short films. And obviously now that we're a little bit more advanced, I think that things are, starting to build up and we're getting more creative. And there's a lot more stuff there that I don't think we've seen, or and the audiences haven't seen in a long time. So, but yeah.
I will say you guys are ideas are very unique. Like I said, the superhero genre is huge right now, but you guys are doing it in such a different way. And I will tell you, I'm not a huge fan of the genre, but I really enjoyed what you guys did because it was different. It's not the same thing that you're seeing all the time. It's not just like two superheroes smashing into buildings and then, ruining a town. It's more than that. James, tell us a little bit more about you, because, Drew obviously said you were the one sort of into video production first, and he kind of was riding your coattails at the beginning.
Yeah. It was during middle school, and during that time, I saw this movie called Ed Wood by Tim Burton. That was the movie that kind of got me interested in filmmaking at the time. And it was also during that time I also saw the Speed Racer movie, and I was going through a bit of a race car phase where I would draw and customize my own race cars. Drew wanted to copy me, of course.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was during middle school that I was going through this phase where I wanted to try filmmaking for the first time. Like I was going through a phase where like I would write my own screenplays. They weren't very good. I got myself a video camera, and I basically filmed like these little homemade sketches.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't professional back then, so I basically was I was doing things that other people were doing, like sometimes I would copy other sketches I've seen on YouTube, and they weren't perfect, but it was a stepping stone for me.
Yeah, and James is definitely very creative, and he's also a children's author too. So he writes his own stories, and he delivers amazing and unique stories to the world for kids, and he's creative entirely. And I think the most important thing is just kind of delivering those messages to people, and especially the most important ones kind of in this day and age, because especially in the time that we're living in, it's like, we need all the important things that we can get. And I think that even with If We Had Superpowers, bringing comedy in the day and age that we're living in is so important, because people need a laugh after these last 2 years. And it's crazy that I'm even saying that, but it's been that long since the pandemic started, and we've been just really excited and proud to give people what we've been creating for so long. But yeah,
I like that comedy aspect that you mentioned, because I feel like, in the late 90s, early 2000s, there was a lot of comedies. There was a lot of high school comedies, and like that doesn't happen anymore. You don't see a lot of those movies anymore. I think you might be able to find them on Netflix and stuff, but you have to search for them. It's not like this thing that's like really in your face. And I love a good comedy, and they're not easy to find. And who
Yeah.
doesn't like having a good laugh about something? And I will tell you, this show is so easy to watch because you do it in such a short format. You can literally watch the whole season in one sitting, and it's not even like you don't feel like you're wasting your time by any means. It's fun. You're having a good time. It's funny.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And James and and it's crazy because I was just telling James and his mom this too the other day. I said, this show we started making. I want to say season 1 started in 2019, and then we filmed 4 episodes in 2019, 4 episodes in 2020, and then another 4 episodes in 2021. And then we started to film season 2, but then the pandemic got really bad. And then we kept those 2 episodes, obviously, kind of just waiting for what was going to come next. And then we started writing more and more. And I said, I think this episode would be good, or I think that episode will be good. And so it was really fun because originally the episodes that you see in season 2 were not what we originally wrote. Like those episodes were something totally different. And it was really fun because we got to just kind of, we got to explore like, the world that we wanted to deliver to, to the audiences. And it was just awesome. I think season 2 is just remarkable. And I think we have a lot more to show. Like James and I'll be honest, we're not going to spoil anything, but
Yeah.
Obviously, James and I went on a trip recently to El Rapids to film another show. And there we were coming up while we were in the water. The first thing that happened is we, James and I were talking about season 3 of If We Have Superpowers. And we said, wow, did we just come up with 10 more episodes of like for season 3 with like in under 24 hours?
The ideas that we had for season 3 would be like,
Yeah.
we basically came up with like original superhero ideas,
Mhm.
but they're like parodies of other heroes.
Yeah.
There's one in particular that I suggested to Drew that he really liked called Orb Weaver. Like he's basically like our own take on Spider-Man.
Yeah. Yeah, and that one is, and it's so important that we kind of give and kind of pay tribute to other heroes, obviously, because that way fans can come in and that way fans can come in and enjoy the heroes that they know, but also see some of the new stuff too. So it's awesome, and we get to kind of see and deliver really some of the best messages, and we get to see some of the most creative things. And I think that's just a really good way to kind of share with the world, comedy that nobody has really seen. And like you were saying, Donna, in a long time, like James and I know a while ago we were talking about, bringing back the silent film era, but in our own way, because, in this generation,
We're big fans of Charlie Chaplin.
yeah, and Buster Keaton, so
Yeah.
it's really important that the new generation gets to see, it's really important. It's really important that the new generation gets to see some of what happened in the old generation. And I think that that's really important because that's history, it's film history. And I think that the more that we get to share with the world, the more that we can kind of just explore what we know, and we get to kind of just, obviously with If We Have Superpowers, we get to play, good dude, bad dude sometimes, and we get to kind of just, go on and on. And I think with superpowers, there's just so much you can do with it.
It's a broad scope. It's never ending. You could do anything with it, really.
Right. And you have to imagine how many superpowers there are in the world, and that are in comics, that are in the movies, or in TV shows alone. So there's really a lot of stuff that
I'm a big comic book guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so remarkable because we get to deliver these messages, and we get to share If We Have Superpowers with the world. And it's incredible. And I think that we don't get to see this very often. So bringing this to audiences all across the world, specifically on YouTube, which is all across the world. But it really is fun, and we get to do a lot of things that we never did before. So I think that every season of If We Have Superpowers, we get kind of just kind of share these stories and tell audiences what we know best. And compared to season 1 and season 2 of If We Have Superpowers, there's a big like amp up from season 1. Obviously, we do frame by frame shots. We do all these things that
you've raised the quality of the show from one season to the next, and I could see it happening, continuing to happen as you and James learn more about video production stuff, After Effects, things like that, and you guys can do. I mean, like, you're already doing really cool stuff, like really fun, cool stuff in these videos, and I could just see it just getting, the quality just getting raising above and above, because I can tell that you guys are really passionate. And I'll tell you what, I really love your guys' chemistry. You have a wonderful chemistry together. I know you guys are friends, but you can't create chemistry on camera. That is not something that you can do. You could be friends or spouses with someone and not have chemistry on camera, and you guys definitely have it. And it will be like something so little in the show. It'll be like Drew gives you like sort of a look, and it's hilarious. It's so funny because you guys are so connected to each other, and I can feel it when I watch it, and I love that about the show. Talk about, James, you're obviously like sort of the more of the writer, but you guys are doing this all together. Everything is together. You guys are the actors, you're the writers, you're editing it. Talk about this process of how you work together to create this one like cohesive piece that really works.
Well, what Drew and I usually do is we would usually go for like long walks, and during those times, he and I would basically brainstorm ideas. That's basically our thinking process. Then when we go home after our walk, we basically start writing the screenplays. We don't necessarily write typical screenplays like originally when we worked on If We Had Superpowers. We used a bullet point method where we would write like a little beat sheet of what would happen in the episodes. There's no dialogue. It's mostly just actions. And then we go off of that. And Drew and I usually just ad-lib our lines. Like, it's a little something we learned from Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And, improv has been such a big part of our lives for so long. Like, we did it in high school, and we kind of just carried on with it, ever since then. And with If We Have Superpowers, we use the outlines to kind of construct how we do every scene and how we go about making every shot, So, and it's the coolest thing because we get to, we get to do things that we've never gotten to do before. Like in season 2, there is a lot more action. There's a Terminator referenced episode. So it's like we made things work where it was both kid friendly, and we get to bring those things without having like that vulgar, language or that really crazy stuff. And I think that
we try to keep it family friendly.
It's definitely family. Like I said, it's not even like there's things that happen that maybe you'd be scared of, but it's not scary. It's not in a way that it's scary. It's in a comedic way that you can enjoy with your kids. You could just put your YouTube channel on your big TV and everyone can sit around and watch the show together. Honestly, it's that much fun.
Yeah, thank you. And and as much as we always appreciate getting some of the fan favorites. I know a lot of friends of ours from high school. I know I have photos saved on my phone where like people would be sending me like their huge like flat screen TVs, and we would be on the TV and we'd just be like, James, is that us on their TV? So it is a really cool thing, and I think we just have so much more to share with the world. And like James was saying about Orb Weaver in season 3, it's such that episode alone. I can't wait to get started on that. And we've been looking at newer locations on how we can do that, because
we like to travel sometimes.
Right. With Spider-Man and Orb Weaver, you got to figure out a way to. With Spider-Man especially, you have to figure out a way how to swing from webs or shoot them and stuff. So all those effects play a big part in, creating this show. And I think that the most important thing, I think, in season 3 and what we're going to be looking forward to is using stunt equipment, getting a huge green screen that I think will help us.
More actors.
Right, more actors. That's another main.
Well, that was the other. I had a question about that because it can't be easy, as I know a video production person myself, that you guys are acting and you're directing and you're the videographer, right? So like you're constantly having to think about these shots. You have to think about everything through before you do it, because if it's a James shot, Drew is shooting it and vice versa, and you got to get everything. And a lot of these times you guys are having conversations with each other during this too.
Right. And you know, we also have like certain equipment like tripods and stuff, which can get us both in the same shot. But you know, but there are things that come and go. Like, you know, we have like whenever we do cut to shots, there's, you know, the most important things I think is like whenever we do those shots, I always tell James to say, well, if we have superpowers, that's more of like a you and I type thing, you know. Whereas like Organized Crime Paranormal, our other show, is like that is a way bigger cast. It's got my uncle in it. It's got some of our other friends. You know, it's got James and I. So you know, we really did. You know, we always think everything through. We're always just trying to share our stories in some of the simplest ways, but also some of the most affordable ways. Especially because we're independent filmmakers. You know, we have to carry on, you know, what we can do rather than what we can't do. And I think that that's really important, especially being independent filmmakers and creating everything that we know. But it's just awesome. And James and I were just talking about other ideas, and you know, we've got, I mean, I'm not going to spoil too much about the stuff that we're currently working on, but there's a new sitcom that we're thinking about working on. It's like if it was Seinfeld with puppets, and then James and I play each other. Obviously,
We would be the only human characters.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
They're puppets or
Right,
Muppets.
right. And my character was like the Kramer of you know, of the show. And
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, they're puppets in our house. Why are they here? Get them out. You know. so and then James is like the serious one, and he'll be like, oh, Drew, they're just family friends. Just keep them around. I said that's the guy. Like, you know. So it's a really good thing, and obviously we'll be doing some ad-libbing and some outlining for that show too. But that's one of our next projects, and there's just a lot of stuff that, you know, we're looking to do. I mean, in the next year, obviously with the variant of COVID coming back, you know, we're going to have to plan it accordingly based on the pandemic. But I mean, obviously within the next whole year, we're going to be releasing projects just kind of one after the other, but taking our time, obviously, and using our knowledge to create as best of content as possible. So
Well, you just gave us a lot of information about a lot of projects that you're doing. What is the best way to stay in the know with all your projects with Knuckle Sandwich Studios?
did I answer this one? I mean, I think TikTok is one of the major ones, but
Well, yeah, we're mostly just making a lot of like short comedy sketches, like for TikTok right
Yeah.
now. But
Okay.
we do take our time with filmmaking sometimes. Like when we get a good idea, we just go with it.
yeah, and you know, kind of like what James was saying, we have a TikTok account, we have a YouTube account, we have all sorts of social media pages.
People can check out all of your work. You know, this is just, like I said, if we had superpowers, you could sit in like a short period of time and watch it all. And then you can
Right.
check out your other shows. You know, if you like that, check out everything that you guys are doing, because it's a lot of fun. And like I said, you guys have a lot of chemistry. So before we go, tell people why they should check out all the work you're doing and really become a fan of Knuckle Sandwich.
Well, we're very diverse filmmakers. Like we could be funny in one video, but then in some other videos we could be serious if we wanted to.
Yeah, and it goes both ways. You know, we can have one or the other. You know, we can, like James was saying, we can be absolutely just beyond hilarious.
We just want to entertain it for the
Yeah.
more. That's basically the main thing we do this.
Right, and or you know, we can either be really, really funny, or we can be like dead on serious. Like Organized Crime Paranormal is more of the serious show, and I think that is, you know, Organized Crime Paranormal is a very creative show.
And I think there's a ghost in here.
Yeah, the wind must have blew a door closed. But yeah, so you know, Organized Crime is a very fun show, and that show is a lot more twisted than if we have superpowers. But because if we have superpowers, more of that anthology type feel, like each episode is different.
Yeah.
Where Organized Crime Paranormal is very new.
Consistent.
Yeah, it's consistent, and
You have to watch episodes in order. Yeah.
Right, and it's like Law and Order mixed with like Supernatural, or like it's awesome and it's very twisted. That story is just loosely based on a young man who loses his mom, and he kind of has to go find the person responsible, but eventually finds out that it's something a little bit more than that. And the show is awesome, and the paranormal aspect kicks in, and that might be sort of tied into how his mom, you know, has passed away. But and just one more thing, real quick, and I meant to tell you this earlier, but James and I the other day, and I wrote a lot more seasons of organized crime, but we have a lot to show for, and both shows are awesome. We have tons of content, and right now, James and I have been on YouTube for probably about 10 years, and we're just trying to amp up a lot of our subscriber counts. You know, we're
Sure,
trying
yeah.
so the viewership is getting a little bit, so it grows. And I think that it's really important to just make content that the whole world can see, but also can kind of make it change. Because right now in the industry, Hollywood, New York, every company, production company always makes sequel after sequel, remake after remake. And I think that it's really important to make a unique stories, because those stories go a lot further. So
I agree 100%. I want to thank you both for being on the show.
of course, well, thank you so much, and we appreciate your time. And yeah, I will look forward to obviously your review soon. And thank you.
For more on this and other programs, visit a2gov.org/CTN. Visit youtube.com/CTN Ann Arbor to see all that we have to offer. And remember to like, subscribe, and ring that notification. Thanks for watching, and tune in next time to FYI.